Hi, I'm Chris Steele from the Tabletop Game Talk podcast, and today we're going to take a look at a game called Fickle. In Fickle, you're going to be collecting fairies. Fickle fairies, if you will. And each game is going to be a little bit different because you're going to select different fairies to start the game with. For example, we might use the Noble fairy group, the Share fairy group, the Gorse, the Dispel, and the Gives. But we have other fairies as well. Prestige, Psychic, Scheme, Pariah, and Reflect. And because this game is on Kickstarter, these are all prototype components. I don't have all of the different fairies, and some of these fairies may not end up in the final game. But this will give you a good idea of what the game is once we've played it. So you're going to choose 5 of these fairies. Each of the fairies come with 9 cards. They're going to have one Power 5 card, and they're going to have 2 4s, 2 3s, 2 2s, and 2 1s. All of them are the same. Each one has a particular ability that will trigger at a certain time in the game. You can tell by the lower left corner when this particular ability is going to trigger. So these, with the lower right corner that has the arrow, these are direct abilities. These are going to trigger as soon as you play the card. These here with the little tally marks is a scoring card. That's going to happen at the end of the game. And this one here, this basically says everyone's going to do something. This is a pass your fairy card. So, to start the game out, you are going to shuffle all of these cards together. All right, now the cards are nice and shuffled. We're going to set up for a theoretical 3-player game. I'm going to play all the different sides, but again, just to give you an idea of the game. So, to set up, we're going to take these 8 left and right tokens, and we're going to flip them over, and we're going to shuffle them up a little bit. We're then going to take 5 of them randomly and place them on the round slots of the tracking board. The rest of the tokens are removed. We won't be using those. We are going to pass the town or court crier card to whoever's going to be the first player. In this case, me. We're then going to deal 3 cards to each player. And then we have our fairy deck, which will go there. Each player is then going to look at their cards, and they're going to choose 2 of them that's going to start their initial tableau. In this case, I have a Noble and 2 Dispels. I want to go with the higher numbers because higher numbers are going to give me better scoring. And I want to take a look at the abilities. Now, the abilities are not going to trigger in the first round when you first create your tableau, but later on, this may come into play. Now, it's worth talking about a little bit of how scoring works, even before we start. So, the way that you're going to score the end of the game is if I have, this is my tableau. Now, I should have a few more cards, probably about 5 more cards, depending on the different abilities that are triggered. But if, say I had this here, if I have a single card of a particular fairy type, I'm going to score that card's value. So in this case, I will score 3. In this case, if I only had one of them, I would also score 3, or if I had this, I would score 1. However, if I have 2 cards, they're going to cancel each other out. They're going to score 0. So the fairies like being the only one in their family in your clan. So if you have too many of the same type of fairies, as in more than one, bad things are going to start happening. So 2 is 0. This is okay. 3 or 4, you're going to score negative, whatever the highest amount is. So if I had 4 Dispels and the 3 was the highest number, I would actually get -3 for this. Now, there is the option of shooting the moon. Shooting the moon is I have 5 or more of this particular fairy group. In that case, all of my other fairies go away. That one family stays, and I add up the total of that family. So that is what we're going to do when we're looking at scoring. So, but now back to the initial setup. I'm going to choose these 2 as my initial setup. And this card here, I'm going to discard face down. So my opponents don't know what I've discarded. My opponent to my right is then going to take a look at their cards. They like the Noble, so they're going to keep that. And this is the higher of those 2 abilities, 2 cards, so they're going to keep the Give card as well. And they're going to discard this face down. And finally here, another Noble. You will see why the Nobles are important in a moment. And we'll keep the 5 for the share and discard here. Now, the nobles have a special ability that is scoring based. And you look in the bottom right corner, you can see the little tally marks that show the scoring. They, at the end of the game, the highest value noble always scores positive points for your noble family, regardless of how many of them you have. This is why having a noble in your group is actually quite nice. You're guaranteed at least some points then. Of course, these nobles are going to be jumping all over the place because I'm going to try to get them away from my opponents here. The rest of these abilities are not going to have any effect at the start, and we'll cover them when they do have an effect. All right, so round one, what we're going to do is we're going to flip over this, and we're going to say, all right, we're going to be going to the left. So everyone's going to be passing left, and I'm going to take the court crier card and flip it to its left side versus its right side. On the left side, that means that I am going to take my cards and pass left, and I'm going to receive from my opponent's right. So the next thing you do in each round is each player gets 3 more cards. Now they will not get to keep any of those cards. They're going to give all of them away. And this is really the beauty of this game. This is the fun part, is I am going to try to set up my cards so that I want my opponent to the left is going to pick one of these. And I want them to pick the card that's least beneficial to them without knowing it. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to order this in such a way to kind of fake them out as they are going to look through the cards in a moment. Let's just do this. It'll make a little bit more sense as you see it. So I'm going to put the share 2 at the top. I'm going to put the share 1 at the bottom or in the middle, and I'm going to put the dispel at the bottom. Now this is actually the best card here, and setting it up this way, I really don't want to give them a chance to pick this right away. So I think setting it up this way works a little bit in my favor. We'll see. This game, more than anything, is kind of a mind game. So I'm going to pass this to this player here. And they're going to have to pick these cards in a second. This player is going to pass here, and I don't want to see what this is, so we're just going to shuffle those a little bit. And same thing here. We're just going to shuffle these a little bit. Now, these would have been chosen by my opponent as their orders, and that's really important. We're going to see how this goes in a moment. So the next part of this is we're going to choose which card we want to keep of these. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to look at the top card. And we're going to say, is this something I want to keep? Or do I want to take the next card down? Did my opponent give me the best card on top, making me think that there's some other better cards down here? Or did they give me the worst card on top, saying, hey, you know, it's only going to, this is the best you're going to get, trying to really get in my mind, saying, what do I want? So I'm looking at this here, and this would add to my tableau, because it's a different fairy. So immediately, I see that I'm going to get 2 points for this. But it also has a special ability that's going to take effect before it goes into my tableau. In this case, I'm going to take a fairy from an opponent's alliance and put it into my alliance. Sometimes this is good, sometimes this is bad. So if we take a look at my opponent's alliances, because each of them have a noble, this is actually something I may want to do. I really want that 4 noble, because it's not going to cancel out my 3 because nobles are always going to score. And it keeps him from scoring here. So I don't know what these other cards are, but I actually don't dislike this one too much. And bird in the hand versus 2 in the bush, I'm going to go with this. So I don't get to see these. I'm just going to put these to the side, and they're discarded. No idea what they are. This person knows who they are, what they are, but I don't. Same thing is going to happen here. So this person's going to flip up and look at the first one. This share is terrible for them because that actually is going to go here, and that 5 points with another 2, with 2 cards, remember that zeroes out to nothing. So they really don't want this. They're going to throw that away. Share 1, even worse. Yep, definitely going to throw that away. Yes. Well, they have no choice. But this dispel is actually quite nice, because what this is going to do is you can take a fairy from any alliance and put it into the discard pile. So this isn't the same as my ability here, where I can take it and keep it. This is take it and get rid of it. If I can't have it, nobody can type of thing. So this is the card that they are going to end up using, and we'll put that there. Same thing here. We're going to flip up. Now remember, when they're flipping up, they're looking at these cards only. So if they decide to discard something, nobody knows what they looked at. So they're going to flip this up and say, no, I don't want that one. Ooh, that one's pretty good. And they're going to keep this. and they're going to discard this final one. Now, last part of a particular round is each card is going to get played in power order, starting with power 5 and moving down through powers 4 through 1. If there are any ties, it's whoever is closest to the court crier is going to go first, and then it goes around in this way. So what the court crier is going to do is say, anyone with a 5, play your card now. Now we know that this person has a 5, this person does not, so they're going to play their card. Now before this goes into their tableau though, they're going to trigger this ability here. They're going to take a card from any alliance and put it into the discard pile. Now that can be their own alliance, which would be great, because if there were 2 shares there, for example, they could get rid of one of those shares and then be able to score again. But right now, that's not the case. And this card here is probably the best card not in their board because it's going to score no matter what. So they're going to choose to get this card and discard it. I am now disappointed. I gave them the card that was going to trigger them, that ability, but I didn't really have a lot of choice because I had only 2 shares, which they weren't going to take anyway. And then this card was left. So it's like, all right, well, I couldn't bluff them out, but I tried. So the next number down is 4, which is going to be this Dispel. Now, this Dispel can do the same thing, but now this has already been played, so this card can be targeted. But, again, the Noble is probably the most powerful card out here. We can try to get rid of this Dispel later. Let's get rid of this Noble. So we're just going to throw that Noble out. And now this card is here. And now it is my turn. I had the 2, and I'm going to play, and I'm going to take a fairy from an opponent's alliance and put it into my alliance. So this person here, they messed me up. So I'm actually going to take their card and put this here. So now I have 5 points. He has 5 points. And he has 10 points. So this is only round 1. Things are going to change because the more fairies I get out here, the more likely points are to be canceled. So that was the end of the round. We then flip up. We pass the court crier. We flip up the next, so now we know we're going to the right. And we deal 3 more cards to each person. Starting from here. All right. So I'm going to take a look at my cards. Dispel, Share, and Gorse. Now, the one that they're not going to pick is Dispel, likely. Because that's going to cancel out this, and because this is a 1 versus a 5. This is really not going to be chosen. Share, now what Share does is all players take the fairy of the lowest favor in their alliance and pass it in the direction of the current round. So in this case, everyone's going to pass. So if they play this card, I'm going to have to get rid of my 2. This character is going to have to get rid of their 2. They're going to get rid of their 5. So I don't think that they're going to want to get rid of the 5 just to get a 2 back. So I'm going to actually put that on the top because I think that that might be something they're going to pass. Even though it's a big number, I think it might be something they're going to pass. This one here is going to be hard to bluff them out of. So I don't know if there's really a good way to take this one here. They're going to get to take a fairy from an opponent's alliance and put it into their alliance. It's almost like maybe I want to put this on top just to make them think that that's not the best card in there. Maybe there's a better card further down. And that's actually exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do exactly that. And I'm going to actually switch this around because I sort of want them to pick that Share here because then I'm going to get this Noble right now unless some other card gets played first. If this Share gets triggered, I don't think they're going to pick the Dispel. So I'm going to try to bluff them out by saying, hey, I'm giving you a pretty good card at the top. It means I'm hiding better cards on the bottom, hopefully. Now, we will do the shuffle thing for these guys just so that we don't get to know exactly what's going on here. All right. Now, everyone's going to choose their cards simultaneously again. I'm taking a look at this one. This is, of course, I don't really want to take a fairy. Like, this is going to cancel out. Although this is a really good card, even though this would cancel out, I could potentially get a Noble back. But knowing that I want them to get the Share, that might be a big deal. Oh, but because I'll have 2 2s if I play this, it's possible that I could pass this card in its place. So I'm actually going to keep this one. I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to discard those. All right, let's see what they have here. Right, this is us, right? So, this is one of those things. Do we decide whether or not I fall for it? Tell you what, we're going to roll a die. On a 1, we're going to fall for it, or an even number, we're going to pass this. On an odd number, we're going to take it. All right, it's an even number. That's a 2. So we're going to fall for this. We're going to say, no. There's got to be something better down there. Ooh, yeah, we definitely don't want this one because this is just going to cancel us out. It does let us get rid of another card. But we can't get rid of this card because this card is the one that is going to be in play. So if we were to use it on ourselves, we'd only be able to get rid of that card. We could mess up our opponents here, but that doesn't help us get many points. So let's see what the last card is. Okay, share. All right, well, at least it's going to give us 4 points. Actually, I'm going to have to pass my 5, but that's probably not a bad thing. So let's see what happens. And then over here, a noble. We already have a noble. This noble 1 isn't all that great, although it's not that bad either. It doesn't hurt us or help us. And because of that, it's not that interesting. So we're going to pass that. Oh, this one, let's see. Take a fairy from an opponent's alliance and put it into ours. Ooh, this is not too bad. Now we're starting to get a little fairy heavy. There's only 5 fairies in the game. We only want 1 of each to really score well, except for the nobles where we can score extra. So having extra fairies isn't necessarily great, but this share 5 over here looks pretty nice. So we're going to keep this and we're going to discard that. All right, so now we're going to play these in order. We're going to call out for 4s, or 5s. There's no 5s. Now we're going to call out for 4s. There's 2 4s, so this one's going to go first because they're closest. They are the court crier, so they're the first court crier. So these ones have not been revealed or played yet. This one is going to go into play. And what it says is all players are going to take their fairy of the lowest favored value, their favor there, and pass it in the direction of the court crier. So we're going to pass it to the right. So we're going to go this direction. So what we're going to do is I only have, this is my lowest, so I'm going to pass this. This is his lowest, so he's going to pass this. And this is his lowest, so he's going to pass this. Left and right upside down is a little tricky. I may have miscalculated here. So that's what we look like once that's taken. Now this is now scoring 0. This will score 5 still. They have 6 points here, and they still have 10 points here. The next one is a 4 as well, so this is me. Take a fairy from an opponent's alliance and put it into your alliance. So I really want my noble back. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take my noble back, and then I'm going to play this here. So now I have 11 points. This is 0, 4, 5, and 2. It gives me 11 total points. Still only in round 2. A lot of time to go that yet. And then finally, this one here. Take a fairy from an opponent's alliance and put it into your alliance. Now this is going to go on top here. This player here, not that big a deal, not going to be that much of a threat. So definitely they're going to be targeting me here. And I think they're going to take that share 5 because that's 5 points for them. They've just canceled out these zeros here. This is now going to be 0. And that's the end of the second round. Third round, we're still going right. And again, right is this way. And we're going to start dealing from here. So this is the first player. So that's starting getting cards with me. And then I'm going to take a look at my cards. Now, anything that I pass right, which is, again, that direction, is going to go to this player here. Now, he has a big board. All of these cards are going to be bad. So the ability is really what they're going to be looking for. This share card, passing a card, this is actually going to be pretty good for them because they could pass this one away and go from having 0 points to 2 points. But by keeping this, they're going to take this 5 points, and then it would become 0. So I don't think that they would actually want this card. So maybe I force that on the top. And then we have the 3 and the 5 here. Either way, they're not going to want these cards because it's going to cancel. Not only is it going to cancel this out, this is going to be negative points. So if they get this, once they have 3 or 4 cards, the highest card is going to be negative. So this gives them a negative 3 points if they keep this. I don't think they're going to want to keep that. I know they're definitely not going to keep this one. So I think I'm going to put it in this order. Neither of these are desirable, and then I'm going to stick them with the one that they're not going to like the most. So we're going to pass this to them. they're going to pass this over here, and they're going to pass this over here. All right, so now we reveal our cards. Give. I can take a fairy from my alliance and put it in an opponent's alliance. I really like that because I can get rid of this 3 and give it to, well, I'd probably give it to here to cancel this 4 out. And then, meanwhile, this person, they're not going to get anything. So I'm gonna keep this give here. Let's see what they're getting here. The share. The Dispel, this is okay. You can take a fairy from any alliance and discard it, but I really need points here. So I'm not going to use the Dispel. I want something better. I need a fairy here. The Noble. This is going to give me a point, but it really doesn't give me anything else. This is a tricky call here. But again, I think I'm still better off trying for something else. Now, if there's a share at the bottom here, that's terrible because I went from having 4 points to no points. But right now, the risk is worth it. And, yep, that's what happened. So, evil random player here put share at the bottom. So I'm going to be passing this card. I'll still get 3 points, but I'm going to be passing this card. And I'm going to be getting this card here. That was a clever thing this player did here, even if it was a little random. And then finally over here, share for 2. Yeah, I don't really want to cancel out that 5. And I mean, I would pass the 1. But yeah, I don't think I want this share. The share seems like a bad idea. This definitely seems like a bad idea because that's going to be negative 3 points. But my opponent knew that I wouldn't want this. Maybe this is worse. I don't know. This could be worse. This could be... Maybe it's the better one. Maybe it's... I don't know. I can't take the risk, though. I think I need to not take the negative 3 points. I'm pretty good with points in general, so I'm gonna get rid of this and see what... Oh, well, all right. Well, still, I get to take a fairy from an opponent's library and put it into my alliance. So maybe I can go all in, and I can try to shoot the moon with the Gorse over here. It's risky. I only have 2 rounds left. But if I could get 4 for this round, that gives me 2 more rounds to be able to do it. I might be able to make this work. So we're going to hold that. Now, Court Crier is here. They're calling 5s. This is a 5. And when I play this card, before it goes into my tableau, I'm going to trigger its ability. Take a fairy from an opponent's alliance and put it into your alliance. I'm going to take this 4, and then I'm going to play this 5. And I'm attempting to shoot the moon and getting 5 or more of a particular fairy. Now, we're looking at this and being like, oh, I see what they're trying to do there. If that works, they're going to have, like right now, they have 12 points. If it doesn't work, this is going to be a negative 5, and right now they have 8 points. So either way, they're in pretty good shape. But we'll see what happens there. Now, we're looking at the for 5, 4, 3. So this player will jump up and say, hey, yep, I'm a 3. So I'm going to play this. Everyone's going to have to share their lowest card to the right. So this already looks better for us as this goes to the right. This one's going to me, and this one is coming over here. So we will just tuck this under to keep it all in frame. And then this one goes into play. So this is our new setup here. Now that suddenly this player is like, oh, I had a chance to shoot the moon here, but now I don't have that one over there. So this could be a little bit more risky. And finally, I have a give card. And so before this goes in, I'm going to give this to somebody. And I am going to give this to him because that will cancel the 4. The 2 cards score 0. And now I'm in the lead here with 11 points here. We have 2 plus 5 is 7, minus 5 is 2, plus 4 is 6 over here, and then 4 points there. All right, this game's getting heated. It is now my turn to be the Court Crier, and we will be passing to the left for this one. And let's deal out the next round of cards. All right, I'm out of cards, so for the final round, we're going to shuffle whatever's in the discard pile, and that's what we'll end up using for the final round. But let's take a look at what we have here. And we'll get these out of the way so that I can do some better planning. So I have two fives, which are pretty good just simply because they're going to trigger first. Although, honestly, some powers are better if they're lower numbers. For example, the give. Take a fairy from your alliance and put it in an opponent's alliance. This may not be something you want to do early because they could just shift it back to you or something like that. But I really think that if I gave them a give, they would take this without hesitation. I also think that if I gave them the 5, they would take this without hesitation because this is the noble. So I think I'd rather have them have a give than... because they're going to probably give away this 1 if I give them this card here. And they're going to give this to me because they're not going to give it here, because if they give it here, this is getting him closer to his shooting the moon. So I think I'm going to put the 5 give at the top. I'm going to put the noble at the bottom. Now this does mean if they pass the give, they're definitely going to pass the 3. But they're never going to pass this noble anyway. So yeah, I think I'm going to set it up that way. Set it up like that. And I'm passing to the left. This player's passing to the left. And this player's also passing to the left. So let's see what we got. A Dispel. So the Dispel is going to allow me to get rid of a card from another alliance, but it's also going to cancel out this 5. If this wasn't random, I'd be like, all right, there's something really bad under here, because if they gave me a 4 Dispel, but what else could be all that bad? I don't think there could be something too terrible. They could be trying to stick me with a Share, because a Share would get this green card back over here. That might not be a bad idea, because they're going to pass one of these 2s, and they can choose which one. So they would pass me this noble, which they wouldn't score anyway if they shoot the moon, because if they have 5 or more, all of the other fairies immediately leave the family during scoring. So they might be trying to stick me with a Share. But if they are, that's fine. Good on them, because I still don't want to cancel out this 5. So I'm going to discard this. Ouch. All right, I don't want to cancel out the 5, so I'm going to discard this. And they did. They stuck me with a Share, so now that gets them back into a better situation. The random gods are shuffling and showing some pretty good strategy by my random players over here. All right, so we're going to hide that there. And now we're going to be flipping these guys up. So, the give. I don't have a lot of cards here. I don't want to take a card from my alliance and give it someplace else. Even though it's 5, I guess I could give this 1 over here. And then I would have 8 points, but I'd be giving them, this person here would get 12 points at that point, because that's there. But whatever card they kept, maybe they kept a green one, so that could cancel out that new card. I definitely don't want to pass it here. 5 give. This is a hard one. I think I have to keep the give. I have to keep those 5 points. I'm just going to try to cancel it out. Now, here's a situation where having the 5 and having to go first is going to be tricky, because they don't know what else was played in the round yet. So they have to choose before anyone else, and that's going to be a hard one. So we'll see how that turns out. All right, and over here, remember, I really want these green ones. I don't want this Share, because I do know that this Share is going to happen. And this one would just get passed right by me. So I don't want this. And this is something where I know, because I passed these cards over, I know I'm actually metagaming this a little bit. And these aren't necessarily supposed to be something that you know. But if there is a concern with tie breaking, it does start from here, so I actually don't know how much meta information they would have here. But either way, I don't think they'd want this Share, because they don't want to cancel out this 5, and just in case, and maybe this person took the Share. We tried to trap them into a Share, so we think they're going to take the Share, so we're going to not keep that Share. The give. Now, this give is interesting, because I have to give a fairy from my alliance to another alliance, and it's replacing this. So I could actually give this and replace it with this. I think I like this. I think I'm going to keep this give, just because it doesn't hurt me, and it does hurt my, the next highest rival here. So we're going to start out with 5s. This is the only 5. So as we play this card, we're going to give this away. We're going to give this over here because I don't want to give it here. I don't want them to have, they're already at -5. Even if I gave them the other one, you still, with 3 or 4 cards, you still only scored the most negative of cards here. So I don't want to give them that. I think I'm going to keep this, send this one over here. This gives them 1 point, and that doesn't affect them at all, and it gives me 5. So suddenly I have 8 points now, and I have 1 more round, so there might be a chance here. So next one, we're going to 4s. This is our 4. Here, we're going to use this give to give this here. So we're going to follow our plan, and we're going to put this over here, and now these two cancel out. And then we have this here. So, and then finally, I'm going to play my share. All players take a fairy of the lowest favor and pass it in the direction of the crier. So we're going to pass it to the left. So I'm passing this one back to the original person who had it, passing this 3 over here, and they can pick the 2 they want. So they're going to pass this 2 here over to me, because they're still going to try. Do they want to try? Because now their plan has failed a little bit. 2 would count as 0. So they would go from a -5 to 0 if they pass the 2 here. This 5 is going to get canceled out, though, either way. I think this person might want to pass this 2 instead. So they're going to pass this, and then that's going to come into play. This is in play here. And now the scores are really quite interesting because we have 6 points here. And this player was like way in behind at the beginning. This player has also 6 points, as these are all zeroed out. And here me, I have 7 points, as these are zeroed out, and I have a 5 and a 2. So this is a really, really close game now. So what we're going to do, because we're in the final round and we need to do one more thing, is we now have the court crier is here, and we're passing to the right. So we're going to give these a quick shuffle. Just make sure these are nice and random. Remember, we've been discarding these face down, so most people don't even know what they were. They're pretty shuffled in the first place, but here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. All right, this is the last set of cards that is going to be played at all. Can I keep my lead of a 7? Well, these cards here can stay 6 or lower, right? So this player here who has the fewest cards, they have the best chance of getting more points because they can't get more points. The only way they can get more points is if they get a higher noble. Because any other card is going to be very bad for them unless they can get rid of a card. But even getting rid of a card means they're putting another card in their tableau. This player here came out really strong, but a little too strong because too many cards, too many fairies in your family are a bad thing. Here, I'm okay. I have 4 cards, so I can get, let's see, what am I missing here? The nobles. So I could get another noble here, but this player would have to pass me a noble, and I'd have to pretend there is one. Maybe there is a noble here, because if there is a noble here, I can just keep flipping until I get it, and that's going to give me more points. But here, I got to be really careful what I give them. And this is not bad, but it's not really. I was really kind of hoping for, all gives and gores here. But the dispel, this is probably going to go against me more than him here, because I have this 5 that if they can dispel this, that's 5 points gone. It leaves me with 2 points, and that's going to have them win. There's a pretty good chance that this person here is going to score very few points. So I think that, but this one here is good. The ability is good. You take a fairy from an opponent's alliance and put it into yours. So this here is actually going to get them a lot of points as well, because even though this would cancel out the 0 here, they could take this 5, and then they would have 10. So either way, this could give them 4 points. They wouldn't take this one or this one, because that's going to up their points there, but that's a really good one for them as well. here, take an area from your alliance and put it into your opponent's alliance. I don't think this is definitely not something that this person's going to choose no matter what. So we'll stick them with it at the bottom, because if I put it at the top or in the middle, they're going to pass it. But if I put it at the bottom, maybe there's a chance that they pass these other ones because they think there's something better out there. And I think I'm going to put this one at the top, because maybe they don't notice that, maybe they say, oh, I don't want to cancel this out. And then here, this dispel is almost certainly going to hurt me. Yeah, this is either way. So this is not looking good for me. We'll see. We'll have to see what happens with the cards I get. All right, so these get shuffled here. Well, they get ordered by our random AI logic of shuffle, and then I get this here. So this is the last time. This is it. This is for all the marbles here. First card, take a fairy from my opponent's alliance and put it into my alliance. This is the same situation we're here. So this is only going to be able to get me 2 points is if I take this card here. And although 2 points is good, it's going to cancel out those 2 points there. So again, I think this is not a good card for me. This ability is good, but it's going to cancel out those 2. So yeah. Now the thing is, if they gave me a share or a give, and that's what's down here, this is even going to be worse, because I'm going to get -4 points at least from that if these are only shares and gives in here. But I don't know. I do know what I passed over there, and I do know that I need more points in order to beat them, because they are going to have a decent amount of points at the end of the game. So I'm gonna get rid of this. Dispel. This Dispel is going to get rid of this 5, and it's going to make that count as a 0, leaving me with 2 points. Yes, sure, I can get rid of points there, but that's going to be tricky. Now, the trick here, though, is this Dispel is a 1. It's the lowest one. It's going to get played last. So if they do steal something from me over here, that could actually work out all right. And I could dispel one of my cards here. So even though I would lose the 5, I could gain 4. I think I have the most options with this last dispel. The dispel that's going to be going last, I think I have the most options with this. And I'm furthest from the Court Crier, so this will be the last card played. I think this is my best shot. I'm gonna keep this one, and we'll just see what happens. All right, over here, looking at the dispel. Now, the spell, I can get rid of any card, but this is going to cause this to go to a -4. So even if I get rid of this 4, I get a +5 here. So I gain 5. That's not terrible. Well, I wouldn't gain 5. I get a -4 and a 5 here. So I'd gain a net of 1 if I kept this dispel. Dispelling things over there aren't going to help me so much. Shooting the moon is not an option in any way, shape, or form. So I think I'm going to not keep this, because just gaining the 1 isn't enough. I have 6 points right now. I have 6 points there. Well, maybe. See, this person here has 6 points. Over here, they have 7. So I do know what I passed them, though. But is it going to be enough? Because they, depending on what they took, yeah, I think I'm going to pass on this dispel. Oh, oops, I did that in the wrong order. But we're going to, because it was random anyway. There we go, dispel. So we're going to pass on that dispel. Now we're going to go to the share. I definitely can't keep the share, because if I keep the share, I'm going to pass my 2, because that's the lowest card, and I'm going to get this 1, so suddenly this is going to be a -5. This is absolutely 100% not what I want. Definitely don't want this. Okay, and I also think I passed this in the wrong direction again, but there we go. Yeah. I think we're going to pass on this share as well. And what are we left with? All right, this one here is taking a fairy from an opponent's line and put it into yours. This is probably not going to do anything good for us. This is probably going to do very, very bad things for us. So we were boofed into getting a terrible thing. So, I don't know, boofed. That's a word, right? And then finally, this one here, this player here is going to look at the first card and be like, take a fairy from an opponent's line and put it into yours. This is going to cancel this, but I could steal this 5. I could steal this 5 or that 5. That's not going to be great. But stealing that 5 isn't bad. That's going to give me 4 more points than I currently have. So it's going to give me a total of 10 points if I do that. There could be other cards in here that are good, but I think that 10 points, is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep those points. All right. So finally, let's do the final round here. So 5s. We know that these are 1s right now. So this is our highest number. This is our 4. So the 4 is going to get, first this is going to happen, and this player here has 7 points. This player here has 6 points. And stealing this 5 is going to give me the most points. So I'm going to steal that 5. And these will cancel each other out. These are going to be 0. But for now, I am in the lead with 10 points. Well, not me. This person is in the lead with 10 points. So to the left, because we have tied at 1. So to the left of the court crier. So left, again, playing upside down at this position apparently just doesn't work with my head. So we're not passing left. But in any case, this left here, we are going to play this. So this is take a fairy from an opponent's alliance and put it into your alliance. Now, there's a little bit of the potential the king make in this one, especially for the last play here. But there is no good option for what to take. If I take a give, I cancel this out. If I take a gorse, it does nothing. If I take it from here, then this person's going to get points, whether it be 1 or 4, because I put it here. I'm going to get a negative 5 regardless. Here, I'm just going to cancel those points out. If I take a share, I'm going to get negative points here, and this person's going to get positive points. Taking this give is going to cancel that, and taking this dispel is going to give me negative points here. Like, no matter how I look at this, this is just a terrible, terrible card to get. So, because the person that passed it to me is here, I'm going to screw them over. And somehow, I honestly don't know how, but I think I'm going to end up taking this 5. No, I'm going to take this 5 here. I'm going to put that there. That gives me 0 points, but this is negative 5 points. This is 2 points. So I'm at negative 3 points here. This person is at 5 points, and now I'm stuck with me. I have 2 points right now. But the card I'm playing is a dispel. I can take a fairy from any alliance and put it into the discard pile. So it only makes sense. So this person's at negative 3. This person's at 5. I could take this 2 or 3, either one, doesn't matter. And then I would be at 6 and I'd beat the 5 there. So I could do that. Or I could just dispel this dispel and put this here. Discard those. And at the end of the round, these score 0 because there's 2 of them. I score 2. That's a 0. 0, 0, negative 5, and a positive 2 for this one. And that negative 5, positive 2 is going to be negative 3. So I win with 2 points. Now, that is Fickle Fairy. There's a lot of switching around. There's a lot of things going on. Depending on the different fairy abilities, different things will happen too. So, for example, this Prestige ability. Exchange any fairy from your alliance with a fairy in an opponent's alliance of the same family. So I could trade this 2 with that 5, and suddenly I'm getting more points that way. The Psychic ability. Next round, view the first 2 cards in your family lineup before fairy selection. So I can look at the top 2 cards of the 3 and know those top 2 cards. The Psychic's really, really powerful in that way. It also gives someone more to think about when you're passing it, that they're going to have more information. Scheme. Next round, take the fairy of the highest value favor from an opponent's alliance and put it into your alliance. So this is kind of like a steal, but you can only choose the top ones, and it's at the end. It's at the beginning of the next round that it happens. So everything is played out before this card takes effect. The pariahs are worth negative points. And their scoring is a little different. They're worth negative points if you have 1, or whatever one's most negative if you have 2, and if you have 3 or 4, actually 2, 3, or 4, whatever one is most negative is going to count. Now, if you have 5 or more, if you shoot the moon with the pariah, all of their points flip positive. So those make an interesting thing. And then you have reflect, and what happens with the reflect is this gives you an ability where any direct ability used against you that has these little arrows on there, you can trigger the reflect ability. It only triggers once per card, but after that ability is used against you, you can use that ability against another player if you would like. So, and there's a lot of other cards that may be available depending on how well the Kickstarter does, and how you set up these cards, what you put together. That is really changes how the game feels. This setup that I did here, this is the starting setup. This is the recommended first combination, and this has a lot of play, a lot of give back and forth. Some of these combinations, though, you could have very little back and forth. And I would recommend for those games, it's a lot more about the luck of the draw and the bluffing as opposed to strategically switching around and thinking that way. So it just depends on the type of game you like. You can randomize things. You can say, hey, we're going to randomize all of the direct actions and pick 3 of those, and then randomize all the other cards and pick 2 of those. Any way you want to put these cards together. The cool thing about Fickle is it plays fast. It's not a very complicated game, and once you've played it once, you're like, okay, let's play it again. Let's do this again. So that is Fickle. Check it out on Kickstarter, and if you have any questions, post in the comments.